Good evening, everybody. We are live. I can see that Jamie has joined us already. Good evening, Jamie. He's always generally the first person on YouTube. My name is Natalie Cromie, and welcome to Never Mind the Buy Box. Tonight, I am joined by Blue 30s, Sam Warner. Hi, Sam. How are you?
Yeah, good evening. Yeah, I'm really well. Thank you. Thank you for having me on. So, looking forward to it.
Yeah, good. No, it's a pleasure to have you here. Thank you so much for joining, because I know you take time out of your evening. And we were just chatting beforehand. You've got a new little baby, a new little girl, 6 weeks old. So I appreciate your time is really precious. So thank you so much for joining us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Good. Someone's let us know that they can see and hear us okay. I need to log into my comments. I actually thought I'd muck the stream up tonight. So that's what I was.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was a few minutes late on because I thought, oh my God, why can't I just get it right? Me and technology, just crap. Just don't go together whatsoever. So let's see who's jumped in and joined us. Oh, it's Sean. Hi, Sean. Hi, Karen. Hi, Graham. A few other people watching. Yes, you can. I know you can see and hear us, but if you're watching via YouTube, if you could just let us know that you could, that you can see us via YouTube as well. So yeah, Simona has said that she can see and hear us as well. Thank you very much for letting me know. So tonight, guys, we've got Sam on. So Sam owns a prep center, so we're going to be talking about that a little bit later on, but I thought we'd do it with a little bit of a twist tonight, because I want to talk about how you can, if you get good enough knowledge of selling on Amazon, that it could potentially open up other doors for you as well. And so I find that a really interesting subject, because a lot of people do end up branching off and doing different revenue streams, and I want to take some of the stigma out of that a little bit tonight, because I know some people think, oh, just sell on Amazon, just do this, just do that. But I think it's an interesting subject to talk about, and why people do go down that route. But just before we get started, loads of people jumping on tonight. Great. Daniel's joined us. Caitlin, Johnny, who was on last week. Thanks, Johnny, for joining us. Simon says, hey, guys, on the move. Hopefully you're doing it safely, though, Simon. Harminder's joined us via YouTube as well. So a bit of a mixed bag tonight on, YouTube and Facebook comments, so you'll only be able to see the Facebook comments, just to let you know, but I'll obviously read everything out.
Yeah, that's what I did in the private chat a second ago, so I didn't have, when you said about the comments, I was like, oh, we're on the wrong section.
There we go. I think we've got a few Sam fans in tonight. So Alan says, go Sam. John says, hi. Let us know how you're getting on with Q4 as well, because I want to do, a bit of general Q4 chat as well. I think we're on the kind of precipice. We're on the edge. We're on the edge. It's like so close, you can taste it. It's like you can smell it. Q4 is nearly here. And again, we're talking about the proper Q4, not the actual true definition of Q4, but actually when Q4 really gets spicy. That's when we want to really start referring to Q4 being here. So just before we get started, I understand I've been out all day. I've actually been at the suppliers today, but I've noticed in a few people asked it in Elite Sellers, a few people asked it in some of the other groups. I think it popped up in Secret World Project as well. The UPS is having that funny glitch again. I don't know if you've seen it your end, Sam.
No, to be fair, today we was actually okay. We got quite a few shipments out and managed to book in. So yeah, didn't actually hasn't popped up on our end today.
Yeah, I think it's pretty random. It's a glitch. What causes the glitch? I mean, it could be one of the things. I think I've seen too many people commenting on it now to think that it's like a browser issue, or it could be a browser issue, obviously. So first advice, whenever there's a glitch on UPS, on Seller Central, change browser, see if that works. But we've had this glitch before, and it's essentially when you go to book in your pickup. So when you go to ups.com to put in your pickup, because obviously it's an arrangement normally with Amazon where you don't have to pay for it. It's Amazon charge you for it, so it's that kind of arrangement. You don't have to pay for it. please, the glitch is that it's not accepting the Amazon tracking details, and therefore it's charging you for the pickup. Now, it is a glitch. Amazon all of a sudden haven't broken their agreement with UPS. You do not need to pay it. Like I said, it's a glitch. It normally resolves itself within 24 to 48 hours, but it doesn't mean that you don't have to not ship either. You can just pull up an old shipment and use a previous tracking number. So it appears to be tracking numbers that are only kind of created in the last sort of 24 hours or whenever the glitch had occurred. So if anyone has experienced it, please don't pay for any type of shipping or UPS charges. It's a glitch. If you're desperate to ship, I mean, if you're watching now and it's not working, I'd probably wait until tomorrow morning to do it, because it probably could be resolved by then. But if not, just put in an old tracking number. The tracking numbers don't mean anything. Amazon will charge you regardless. You don't want to pay twice. That's it. That's all we need to know. So, yeah, it's happened before. I think last time it happened, I think the maximum it was glitching for was about 48 hours, something like that. I can't remember when it was, actually. I don't know if you remember when it was.
No, I don't recall it. No, not at all.
No, it's happened a few times now, so it's just a regular thing, and that's why we know about it. When the first time it happened, we thought, "Oh my God, the world's coming to an end."
It's done.
Yeah, it's done. It's that's it. You know, we've got to start paying separately now for this, and it's going to be a bit of a bum because obviously we've got to, get the credit card out and do this. But no, it wasn't. It was just a glitch. Right, let's have a look. Caitlin says, prepping in our freezing garage. Any advice on getting good heaters to get through the next month?
Oh, that's an interesting one. I'm sure there's a few sellers on Amazon who'd be willing to sell their heaters to you, but
Definitely. Well, my first advice, and I remember saying this to Johnny last week when we were talking about his warehouse, because obviously warehouses have got really high ceilings. They tend to be really cold and they're very expensive to heat. So, what I would always suggest is get yourself like a fleece and a gilet, first of all, just to cover this area, because that keeps you nice and warm, because your arms look after themselves in the cold. But if not, I mean, Matt will probably disagree with this, but I quite like the old oil heaters. I think they're pretty good value, and you don't want an electric heater at the moment because they cost a fortune, especially with the cost of electric going up so much. So yeah, definitely
wrapping up warm's definitely a good bit of advice, though, isn't it?
Exactly.
And always go there prepared. Never be underprepared for it.
Absolutely. But yeah, fleece and a gilet, and then and some gloves, and you should be good to go. But get some gloves that obviously are not like woolly ones, because you don't want like pieces of wool sticking on your FN SKUs or anything like that. But yeah, try and warm up it naturally first. But anyone that comes into my house is like, they think we live like Eskimos, because I don't like artificial heat. So for me, I'm like, put a jumper on, get an extra blanket on. So we are, my son calls us, we're a cold family.
Cold family.
Yeah, we're a cold family, because I don't like any heat whatsoever. But there we go. Yeah, interesting facts. Sean says, still hasn't boomed yet, but ready to take off now. I can feel it. I agree. I feel that there's just been a little bit of a shift. When I was driving out today, I saw my first Christmas lights on some houses. So I feel it's, no comments on whether it's too early for Christmas decorations or anything like that. But I do feel that we're nearly there.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. It's definitely teetering on the edge now, isn't it? I think I was speaking with Annan about it earlier. It's been building up to this point, hasn't it? It's not been slow, but it's been a build up. And like you said, the real Q4, when that kicks in, that's when you start to see, what everyone talks about, don't they, in the build up.
Yeah, absolutely. When did you start seeing, because I know down at Easy Prep, I mean, we don't go up there anymore. We don't work out of the warehouse, but I know down there they had, it was probably maybe 2 weeks ago when things started getting a little bit crazy. And Matt went up there today to do something unrelated, and he was like, "Yep, it's crazy."
Take a deep breath and go. But yeah, probably the same, to be fair. Probably the last few weeks it has been ramping up. What's really nice to see, it's really exciting. We have kind of good relationships with our clients. It's really nice speaking to them, hearing them, being excited about what's to come, and it seems like they're already prepared for it, and they're getting the stock in nice and early. And yeah, it is starting to ramp up, but yeah, it's exciting, isn't it? It does create that buzz around the place, what's really nice.
Yeah, so. Absolutely. And I think you start seeing it in the groups, because do you know what, I could be wrong, and let me know in the comments, guys. I could be wrong. I feel, and do you know what, even Matt said it to me, my Matt said it to me this week. He said it just feels like everyone's just a bit muted at the moment. Everyone feels like, and we really do our best to inform everyone that Q4 really doesn't kick off until mid-November, depending on where the dates fall, depending on where Black Friday falls. I think I've made more videos and said on more live broadcasts about when Q4 truly kicks off, which is exactly when we said, it's really any time from now until Black Friday. And still, we try and inform, because there's nothing worse than if you've spent thousands of pounds on stock, you've invested heavily, you've done everything that you're supposed to do, and then, all of a sudden it's like a bit of a kind of wet weekend. It's, I get the frustration of people, and, especially if you've not been through it themselves. But, we monitor a lot of data on Amazon, and we can see we're in an upward trend now. So it's coming, guys, I promise.
And I think especially what you just said, especially with like new sellers as well, if it's their first Q4, all they see from us lot on the Facebook groups is Q4. It's amazing. Like, this is it, Q4. And to them, they kind of see it as Q4, when like you said, the dates, the actual Q4. They're like, hang on a minute, I've just sent loads. Everyone's told me to kind of just keep sending stock in, and hang on, the sales aren't quite coming through yet, but it does hit, doesn't it? So if it's your first Q4, it does come, and it hits pretty hard when it gets there, doesn't it? So
it hits hard. It hits hard when it comes. I must admit, I probably called it a bit wrong this year. I did, make some of the earlier videos. I thought, given the situation, possibly with things like furlough ending, whether or not there was going to be a possibility of any type of potential lockdowns, just this year. I think this is the last unique year that we'll see. We obviously had one last year, last Q4, unique Q4. This one, is going to be different from last Q4 as well. But I did think we would definitely see more of a gradual increase into Q4. But from what I see here, and, I judge a lot on what's going on in the market, of what people are saying in the Facebook group, also talking to clients, talking to family and friends and things like that. And from what I can tell, actually, people have not been getting ready early. Everyone's waiting for Black Friday.
Yeah, it seems like it, doesn't it? It really does.
Yeah, and which I am surprised about.
You're in that prime situation where, you've got an amazing group of people. You pretty much cover every platform. So the analytics you must get from like the group, the prep center, like you said, the data alone that we get from Amazon and Keeper, you're in a really good position to kind of gauge where we're up to, really, aren't you? So
yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, I'm not saying I'm the oracle of knowing exactly what's going on, but, judging by experience, talking to other people, and, it's why people do market research on things. If you ask 20 people, if you ask 50 people, there's a good chance of what the answers are coming in is reflective of, the larger population. And, that's the feeling. People, I didn't think it was going to happen. I'm happy to stand corrected, because I'd rather be right. I'd rather be wrong than right in this situation. If there's a massive boom after, Q4. So I'm always happy to say, I thought it would be different. It hasn't. It looks like it's following the more traditional Q4 than we're used to seeing. But guys, please don't judge your figures on this time last year, because we were almost in lockdown this time last year as well. So I've seen a few people sort of saying, I'm 30% down on last year. Well, no one was going out. The shops are packed at the moment. cars on the road. I was in a traffic jam like today, like a proper traffic jam in my local area. That hasn't happened in like a year.
Yeah.
World's open again. I think
people are out buying again. So
yeah, absolutely. Sean must have said something about a lockdown. There we are. Right.
Comments.
Yeah. We'll catch up on comments, and then we will jump into some information about Sam. So Daniel says, the supplier I use for a private label product I run asked me to become a distributor warehouse manager for their store. China are dominating at the moment. Maybe we should all be agents. Well, do you know what? I think, there's a lot going on at the moment. I saw Callum McDonald, sorry, I can't remember his surname. I hope that's it. Is that right?
I do think so.
Yeah. Okay. Apologies if it's not Callum. But Callum made some great comments on a post yesterday about, how I think somebody, I can't remember who wrote it. Again, you see a lot of posts, guys, but I can't remember who wrote it. And someone said about tried to open some wholesale accounts, but got rejected on the basis of they're working with Amazon now directly. They don't want to do that. That's nothing too unusual. It's been going on for a really long time. A lot of suppliers have discovered that they can sell directly on Amazon. But Callum mentioned about the fact that, there's a lot of, infrastructure being put in place to facilitate this a lot more. And, I made a comment of the, yes, I can completely agree with that, because the stuff that's going on with America, with Amazon, fighting against Congress, they want to separate third-party sellers and Amazon themselves. They're saying that it's anti-competitive, that Amazon sells on the same platform as third-party sellers, which we all know it is, because it is. So there's a lot of moves going on at the moment, because if they are forced to split, then they have to do something about it. And one of the ideas I've heard being bandied around very seriously is this kind of consignment model, that Amazon will become the sole seller on Amazon, and we supply the stock to Amazon on consignment. And then if they sell it, they sell it. If we don't, but it will just change in name, but nothing else will change in terms of FBA. They're not going to withdraw that, but there will be no buy box. Right. So yeah, it's interesting. It's a lot of speculation at the moment. And I've learned my lesson with Amazon. You just wait for stuff to happen. You don't worry about it. But if that is the case, if something like that does happen, then the only thing they probably need to change is you would probably fight for a buy box, but it would be behind the scenes. It wouldn't be on the front end of the platform. It would have to be on the back end of the platform. But the fact that they are using this consignment model does make me think that, I don't know, maybe this is the way it's going. But we will wait and see.
Definitely.
Wait and find out. Anyone seen the news about the internet playing up? Well, it all seems to be working. maybe I broke the internet. I don't know. It wouldn't put it past me.
Following you around, broken internet.
It is weird. That we keep having, like, Facebook went down, then Twitter went down, and all these kind of internet outages. If I was on the conspiracy side of things, if I was having this conversation with Matt Webley and Sean made that comment, we would go down a very dark rabbit hole, I think, of where that would lead. So I'm not going to do it tonight. Definitely not. Matt will be coming on again in a few weeks, so I'm sure that's where we'll end up on that episode for sure. Daniel said, yeah, he agrees. It's not about the heaters, it's about the insulation. Absolutely.
Good.
Is that insulation of body or insulation of building? I don't know.
Oh, it could mean both, couldn't it? That's
mean both.
Both's good. I mean, insulation of the building would be handy, but I mean, not quite a quick fix. No, definitely not. Not quite the cheapest fix either, but
absolutely. Get yourself some warm clothes, definitely. Sean says, no one can come into my house. Health and safety policy in place. Interesting. Sean says, Boris Johnson today said he won't rule out a lockdown in the UK. Me and Matt Webley are going to prove you guys wrong. Wait and see. Germany and Netherlands locking down. Do you know what? I rarely watch the news, and I did actually see that today. And I have to say, I think he said It wasn't a case of, no, I can't rule out a lockdown. I think it was a political kind of politician answer, which was more a case of, I'd be mad to say no because I don't know what's going to happen in the future. I think it was more that I've been flip-flopping like crazy on the lockdown situation. So I'm firmly in no lockdown at the moment.
I'm the worst person to speak to in terms of the news. I don't follow it at all. I try not to. I just kind of bury my head in the sand and just keep going forwards with the day. But yeah, hopefully there won't be a lockdown. So I'm quite enjoying things being back to normal. Well,
absolutely. Yeah, I'm done with lockdowns. I'm over it. James says, hi, this is my first Q4 and I have a question. Is there a way to get disbursements out of my account so I can replenish any quicker? Unfortunately, not for a new seller. You need to have an account that's at least 4 years old. Every time I say that, more time passes. So it might actually be 5 years by now. But, it's a minimum of 4 years to have a daily disbursement account. You can request money every day, but they will not pay you the full amount. They keep a reserve in place. And unfortunately, all told, by the time you sell a product, it's around a 2-week cycle before the money's recycled back to yourself, I'm afraid. There's nothing you can do at this stage. There is capital lending options, but they're not going to be available to new sellers at this stage, unfortunately. So there's not a lot I can say. And I don't even want to recommend any type of lending options because I think that's a little bit irresponsible to a new seller as well. And I don't mean that disrespectfully because it's your first Q4 and don't know how the market moves. I would have no issue recommending something like Capital on Tap or a good cashback credit card to someone that's been doing it a lot longer. But unfortunately, yeah, you just have to wait for the Amazon disbursement cycle, I'm afraid, unless there's anything else you want to add to that, Sam.
Yeah, no, just what you said. Obviously, take it out as soon as you can. Don't wait for the 2 weekly disbursements. Obviously, otherwise it's just money sat there in Amazon. To get it back as soon as you can. I check first thing every morning and personally take the disbursements. It's better in my pocket and my cash flow than it is Amazon's. I think they've got a bit more in their account than I have. So just a little bit.
Just a little bit. Absolutely. Sean says, unfortunately, we have to wait up to 2 weeks. Oh, thank you. So I think Sean answered that. A few comments about lockdown, so I won't go into that any further. Very bar humbug out there at the moment in the school pickup playground. Oh, okay. That's interesting. Yes, that company doubled their warehouse capacity to do Vendor Central. That was what we were talking about, what Callum was talking about with regards to wholesalers who, have been going down this Vendor Central route where they've been supplying stock on consignment to Amazon. So that's a really interesting, we'll follow that closely and, see if there's any further developments on that, because I do think there's more to that than just, reintroduction of Vendor Central. So it'll be interesting to see what the developments are that. Carolyn says, very much agree about bar humbug. Okay, James says, thank you for explaining for that. No problems. Any other questions as we go along, let us know. So, Sam, thank you so much for joining us tonight. We really appreciate you being here. So before we get started and talk about some of the other stuff we want to talk about, if you just want to let everyone know, what your sort of Amazon story is. Everybody's got one. How did you start? Why did you start? When did you start? Where did it all start for you, essentially?
Yeah, no problem. So, like every Amazon story, it could go on forever, couldn't it? Really. Okay. So I'll try not to take too much time. Try not to take too much time explaining it. So, pretty much, kind of for me, it started. I think it was a few years back. A few beers back? No, it was a few beers back. A few years back. A few years back. I started looking into kind of the private label route.
Okay.
Really, yeah. Started looking into that. And yeah, doing my research, and then someone at work mentioned to me about arbitrage, and started looking into that, and it looked like a much more viable instant route, if that makes sense, with a smaller capital, starting capital. The more I looked into the private label, I realised kind of the funds that I'd have needed, I didn't have. Whereas arbitrage, it was something that I could implement quite effectively and fairly quick. So me and my friend, we sourced kind of these products. You'll laugh at this, but they were low dolls, so I really hadn't done my research into arbitrage. Went to Argos, bought these toys. I'd already set up a Seller Central account, went to list them, and obviously I was gated and I restricted on them. So I ended up selling them on eBay. So I went down the eBay route for a while, and they sold really quick. And then that led on to mops. I ended up buying these mops, and it was ridiculous. I was buying these flash speed mops.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think everyone sold them. I made a video about them.
Did you?
Yeah, it's on
Really?
Secret Wealth Project YouTube.
No.
A long time after we finished selling them, because I don't want
amazing.
I don't want to expose
yeah.
profitable deals, because obviously it did really horrendously tank for a really long time.
Oh,
Once it had tanked, I felt confident. I felt comfortable. Sorry, with talking about it.
I think that's it. You've got to leave it. They were amazing. Like literally, it went from sending these low dolls to finding these mops and sending a few in, and then before I knew it, I was buying pallets from B&M. Built up a really good relationship with B&M, and they were selling me pallets of these flash speed mops. And then I went down that route, and then like you said, it kind of the prices tanked on them, and it started to dry up. And then that kind of redirected my focus back into Amazon. And then, just went from there, really. I started off, a lot of it was down the RA route. What was brilliant, I really enjoyed that. You get such a buzz, don't you? It's really exciting when you first start and you're going out to shops, you're scanning products. And kind of, I kind of learned as I went along, really. And I've been in your group, well, Secret Wealth Project, since I started, really. And got to know your videos, became friends with Hayden and Luke Colwell, of course. And they kind of guided me more down the online arbitrage route, and just showed me kind of the different ways of doing it. What was great, because obviously at first it was all RA. I really struggled with the online arbitrage side of things and really struggled with the sourcing. I think I was so used to going out, scanning the products and doing that side of things. And then then it kind of opened my eyes, and a new world, isn't it, really, when you get onto the online arbitrage.
You sort of like think, I mean, RA's incredibly profitable. Out of the two, it's probably more profitable than overall. I know some people are shooting me down for saying that, but you've got a better chance of finding products that are going to be less popular, especially if you're buying and sourcing from niche stores, and you're buying from stores that you've built relationships with, and you can get good discounts and things like that, which, again, it's still a really little known secret. If you can or do have the opportunity to get a manager at a retail store, ask them for a discount.
Yeah. I mean, them mops, I did okay on the mops with that. But like you said about the RA being profitable, and like we said, it's a different income, isn't it? But like, we talk about Matthew Wright, for instance. He's absolutely incredible, isn't he? Before lockdown, I think, watching one of his videos, pretty much all of his income was from RA, wasn't it? Like just huge volumes of RA. Obviously, I know he transitioned with the lockdowns, but that blows my mind that a seller of that size, finds that many deals and they have people going out buying them for them. I found that incredible. Then I kind of ended up going down the OA route. And that went from your normal kind of products that I was sourcing, and then end up going down the health and personal care kind of niche. And I let myself get caught up in that for way too long, if that makes sense. I had a really good store that I was buying from. I think everyone probably knows it now. And it was incredible. The cashback was amazing. Everything was selling really fast. And then the prices started tanking, loads of people were jumping on. And I kind of got tunnel vision. I let myself kind of stay in that for way too long. And it took a long time for me to actually get my head out of the sand, take a step back and go, right, I need to change. I need to change what I'm doing. And I think that kind of actually made me realize how good Amazon is, that you can do that. You can take yourself out of that situation, get yourself in a bit of a rut, take yourself back and look at what options you've got. And there's just so many different options available, kind of different categories, different ways of sending. Like, I know, obviously, with like, I still need to get onto Elite Sellers. I need to jump on that because I've heard nothing but good things. So if there's space, I'll be jumping in. but yeah, there's just so many options out there, and I know that you help a lot of people kind of see the potential in them. And I think that's why I love Amazon. It's given me so many different opportunities over the years, and it's very easy to transition within the Amazon marketplace.
Mm-hmm. Oh, absolutely. And I always say to people, with arbitrage, it's something that it is an easy model to start. And I always clarify this. It's like a spoiler alert. It's like a clarification. It's an easy model to start. Okay, it's not an easy model. There is a difference between the two. It's easy to get set up and to start on online arbitrage. But running an online arbitrage, running a retail arbitrage, it does require hard work. It does require focus. There's a lot of cogs within the online arbitrage or arbitrage machine. And, one of those cogs breaks, one of those cogs falls out, then, a lot of it can come crashing down. So you do have to balance a lot of spinning plates with the arbitrage model. And that's not always sold to people at the start. It's always, passive income, do this, send it to Amazon FBA, they'll solve all your problems for you. You need good systems, you need good processes in place. If you're not going to source, who's going to source for you? If you're not going to prep, who's going to prep for you? Balancing all these things. Anybody can, come on and sell on Amazon, but, scaling a business, it does require, it's a real business, guys.
It is. It really is. And like you said, like the scalability of it is fantastic. And if you put the systems in place, and don't want to plug you guys too much, but like kind of the software that like Matt, you guys offer, couldn't done it without it really. But
feel free to plug away.
Yeah, that's it. All right, okay. So we got Bible Pro, was amazing. We've got Profit Protect Pro, but it is that thing though, isn't it, where you get so much information from so many different people that it's hard to know what to implement and when to implement it, because everyone will tell you something different, when to put this structure in place, when to put that structure in place. But everyone's journey is different. Some people might want to hang on to their prep for a bit longer. Some people might want to hang on to the sourcing a bit longer. It depends on what your strengths and weaknesses are, isn't it? And it's all down to kind of making the most of the strength that you've got, or it might not even be the strengths. It might be the time. You might have the time to prep. So you might want to keep that in house for longer. There's just so many variables. And like you said, once you kind of get the system in place, though, it is a real business. But I know you said about, obviously at the start, it's very easy to get started, but not necessarily easy to kind of scale it without running it like a business. The great thing about that, though, is it gives new sellers the opportunity to increase the cash flow, doesn't it? They increase the pot pretty much early on. It's very easy to kind of build that pot as you're learning, and then you've got a decent amount of money there to kind of grow with you as you start implementing the structure and the systems.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, it's a very quick reality check for a lot of people. And, that's why I always try and say as much as possible. But I'm also a fan of, listen to different influencers, listen to different gurus, test what people are saying and see what works for you. Because as Sam said, there's so many different variables. What works for one person might not work for you. And it's also very true in saying that, especially over the last 12 months in particular, OA and arbitrage has been phenomenal for a huge amount of people, but that model's still not for everybody. But it doesn't mean just because that model's not for you. I've had a number of examples, probably a dozen or so examples over the last year where people were on the edge of giving up OA because it wasn't for them. And it's not because, they couldn't do it or anything like that whatsoever, or the model doesn't work or anything like that. It's just, it wasn't for them. Whereas they've converted and they've tried doing something a bit different. It's like people go from private label and build, a huge kind of, I suppose, I don't want to say failure, because it's never really a failure, because obviously you've just paid to learn something. That's the way I always see it. But whereas it's not worked out on private label, but they have huge successes with wholesale. They have huge successes with arbitrage and vice versa. So I will say is if you are ever at a point where you think, do you know what, this isn't for me, it might just be that model's not for you, because Amazon, I believe, is for everybody in some respect. And again, that's what I want to talk about tonight as well. You know, it's not necessarily, you see so many people that do very well in in sales and selling on Amazon, but they decide that they want to try something else. They want to support an Amazon community. They want to do this and they want to do that. And they end up enjoying that even more. You get some people, I know that Cindy was someone, you know, who's obviously very popular within the Amazon community as well, Cindy Jackson. And, you know, she started her Facebook group, and she came out a few weeks ago and said, you know what, I started this Facebook group with the intention to monetize and maybe offer coaching later down the road. But you know what, I'm going to stick to selling. I'm still going to share my journey during this Facebook group. But I'm, you know, selling is 100% for me. So it works in all different ways. So never let anybody tell you what you're doing is right or wrong.
That's it. And I've just seen Luke's comment. I appreciate that, mate. It's really nice of you. But I think we're kind of the prime examples really of how things can change, and that online arbitrage, just because online arbitrage might not be for you, doesn't mean Amazon in a whole isn't for you. And that's the beauty of it. You look, kind of Hayden's gone off in his direction. We were all in the VA pool, wasn't we? And I know we've done a video on that.
Yes.
And that was incredible. Like if anyone kind of is struggling, or they have a group of friends who are all sellers, look into a VA pool. It could work really well for you. It worked really well for us for the time that we did it. But you look at all three of us now, we're all still really good friends. Hayden's off doing his private label. You've got Luke, who's got his Optimus U, the clothing, the gym wear brand. Yeah. And I've gone down the prep center route. I mean, but we all still absolutely love Amazon. We're still in that community. We still all do what we were doing before, but under different sections of it, really.
Absolutely. And I think I see Amazon arbitrage as a gateway. Some people will start an Amazon arbitrage business and they will stay in it for years. It's as simple as that. Some people will start it, decide it's not for them, but it's been their first real opportunity to experience running their own business. And I think that's really important as well, because it does teach you a lot of business basics, and very quickly as well, especially if you've not had that business before. So please, please, please always use it as a good experience to learn something, because even if it's not for you, it doesn't mean you failed. It just means that it's not quite for you and you need to do a little bit of a pivot, and that pivot will more than likely still involve Amazon in some respect. And I've been really privileged over the last 6 years being involved in, you know, various different Amazon communities, to see how people have developed their businesses, developed additional revenue streams, developed, you know, all of these different, you know, I've seen people that have literally, you know, changed their lives doing this. And they started in Amazon OA. They started in arbitrage. They might not still be in arbitrage, but like I said, Amazon is responsible for changing so many people's lives. We all don't agree with Amazon a lot of the time and their policies and things like that. But one thing I don't think gets talked about a lot is how many people's lives it does change, and gives people the opportunity that you just wouldn't have got 10 years ago, or maybe 15 years ago, something like that. And
I think sometimes we take it for granted, don't we? We just see it as a platform to sell on. Whereas when you look at the bigger picture, how many businesses are there where you could buy products off a shelf in a shop, send it in to sell on another platform, the exact same product for a different price, and you make XYZ profit without having to have the overheads of your own, you know, your own unit, your own warehouse, your own shop storefront. It's incredible. You can literally overnight sell products that without all them overheads. It's incredible that you can do that. And
it's phenomenal.
I think that's what I love about kind of the community, like the Amazon community. I've never known a business community what supports each other so much. I used to manage restaurants, and you don't get that in the restaurant industry, do you? I
had a beauty salon, and that's cutthroat, I tell you. Yeah,
I bet.
That's cutthroat. Yeah.
But just to see the support, and for instance, a couple of my friends, Dan and Kieran, they asked me about online arbitrage, so kind of point them in the right direction, really, just to kind of buy a few products and get going, help them create the first shipping plan. Came into the prep center, and help them do their first shipping plan there. And just seeing the excitement and the buzz and how well they're doing with that. They're doing absolutely incredible, to be fair. They're in their second month, they're flying. But just seeing that buzz, don't you, in the communities, and seeing everyone helping each other and engaging with each other. I don't know anyone anywhere else or any other business module where you'd get that.
Yeah, and do you know what? It sounds really cheesy. You know, I am somebody that does charge for information. I do charge for my time. I do charge to teach people, you know, how to sell on Amazon and that type of thing, which I know some people, you know, don't particularly like, but I'm all about different strokes for different folks. You know, at the end of the day, what one person, you know, wants to do is entirely up to them, and, you know, whatever. But, you know, you do get people obviously that come out and say, oh, I'm doing this because, you know, I want to help people. And I used to find that really cheesy before. I'd be like, come on, you know, I mean, I think I'm quite realistic about it. You know, I need to pay bills at the end of the day, obviously, as well. So, you know, if I could live for free completely, then I'd love to help everyone for free. Of course I would. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, there's probably, there are not many times in, you know, when a week where I don't get a nice message from someone that says, you know, that says thank you. And I don't want any thanks from anybody, you know, because I deliver people information, but what they choose to do with it is up to them. It's all about them. You know, the success people have is about them taking action. It's as simple as that. So I don't want to take credit for other people's success, because you have to action that yourself. It's as simple as that. But, you know, when people do take the time to send a message or something like that, it really makes your day. And yeah, I was a bit skeptical about people saying, I love helping people and I love doing this. And, you know, sometimes the messages do drive me a bit crazy, guys. But I'll be honest, you know, it really does give you the warm and fuzzies, definitely, for sure.
It does. It really does. And I think I absolutely love Amazon. I love selling on Amazon. I love what the platforms provide and the opportunities it's presented as well. But I've always been in love with kind of the service industries and providing the service, if that makes sense. So for me, kind of that's what I crave and I absolutely love. So you said about the message. I had a phone call with a client today. He was kind of what he was calling about, but and he called up and, you know, said thank you. And you know, and that's incredible, isn't it? It does. It's so rewarding. It makes it worthwhile, doesn't it? It really does, because Absolutely. You know, like with any business, there's a lot of sacrifice that come along with it. And like, you know, I couldn't do it without my fiance Lydia. Like, you know, I've got a 3-year-old and a 6-week-old baby, and here I am, kind of running a prep center, Amazon firefighter. So you just sit there going, okay, you know, I couldn't do it without her. So pretty much she's the one who does it all for me, really. I just go and do the work, but couldn't do it without her at home. So yeah, having a good support network makes a massive difference.
It does phenomenally. And I think if you're somebody who has that supportive partner, I've worked with people in the past who maybe don't have a partner or family that understand what they're trying to do. And that can be very difficult, you know, from a mindset point of view. It can be very, very difficult, you know, from trying to motivate yourself. So if you do have that support network in place, it's so important, from, you know, being able to take that next step within your business, because yeah, you do get lone wolves out there, but you do need support. There's no doubt about that. And that's again what the Amazon communities are great for. And when we can, guys, we will definitely be doing an in-person live, real people talk face to face meetup. You know, Matt and I talked about it, and we always said that, you know, even if the world did open up before the end of the year, which it has, you know, then we would wait until next year, because I think it's just something, you know, it's nothing worth having to arrange something and cancel it. And doesn't mean I think there's a lockdown, Sean, but I think that you know, we'll definitely do something the early part of next year and give everyone that opportunity, because we've done them in the past and they've been hugely successful and everyone's loved it. So I can't wait to get back into that now. Luke says, exactly, Amazon is the greatest gateway to business. Very, very thankful, and opened the door for me in business. Well, I'll always have Amazon as a revenue stream, and recommend anyone to start an Amazon business. And wherever I go in business now, it will always be down to the foundations I built with Amazon, team building, accounting, the confidence that I can build something successful from scratch. Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better myself.
Yeah.
It really is a fantastic learning opportunity for sure. Best form of education is to get in, give it a try, see what works, face those bottlenecks, and try and work your way around them. John says, Amazon saved me 11 years ago now. I started with RA, then OA, and a bit of wholesale. Now that's all I do. There are times when I despair at Amazon, but you just have to push through. Absolutely. Couldn't say it better myself. You kind of go through this transition period of just despair with Amazon at the start and understanding Amazon, but it is their playground. And you very quickly have to realize that, if you want to play, you got to play by their rules. It's as simple as that. You don't have to like it, but unfortunately, in a lot of cases, you do have to lump it. So we'll wait and see.
It tends to work out in the end. Is find ways of doing it, don't we? We'll make it work.
Absolutely. John says, and the tools from this group have been a godsend. If you don't have Buybot Pro and Profit Protector Pro, you're missing out. Absolutely. Always feel free to drop a comment in the group, and one of the team will get in contact with you if you want to find out any more about any of the services that the Secret Wealth Project Facebook group offers, for sure. So let's talk about building some of those additional revenue streams when you've been doing. I'm curious to know, once you've built a good level of experience. I think Sean's going on about that.
I can see the comments in the corner of my eye.
Yeah, I know. Lockdown. We know you don't want a lockdown, Sean. Don't worry. I'm only playing with you a bit. So with regards to, exactly what I was talking about in my post today, and I've spoken about this, I always feel, especially when you do kind of talk to people, you can gauge a bit of a mood from people, like as I was talking about earlier. And it's funny, I've been talking to a few people lately who've been, thinking I've been selling on Amazon for a certain amount of time. I'm maybe thinking about, I've spotted this kind of area where I think I might be able to help people, or I might have, I think I've got a solution for that. And that's generally how people, expand out on their Amazon kind of expertise and their knowledge, if they can offer some value in some respect to people that are selling on Amazon. So what I'm curious to ask you about, well, the first thing I want to ask you about, and then I'll ask you this, but what I really want to know is why a prep center. So, there are literally dozens upon dozens of, if you want to expand your income streams off of the back of Amazon, there's loads of routes that you can go down. You can open a Facebook group. You can do affiliate marketing. You can sell other people's products. You can do joint ventures with people. You can run people's accounts. You can create software. You can coach. You can educate. And that's scratching the surface of the amount of revenue streams that you can build off of the back of a good expert knowledge of Amazon. So that's what I want to know. But before you answer that, is so one, why a prep center? But two, you opened a prep center and you call it Blue 30. What's the reason for the name?
Okay, there is actually a good reason for the name.
Okay, I want to know about the name.
No one gets it. So there's three of us in the business. I've got two amazing business partners. It's myself, Alan. I don't tell that to them to their face, by the way. They're not amazing when I see them. So me, Alan, and Karchen. So Blue 30 comes from our roles as firefighters. So we're on Blue Watch, all three of us are on Blue Watch, and 30 is our station number. So it kind of had a lot of meaning to us. So we all work together there. So kind of tied it in nicely. You can imagine the stick we got from the guys at work for it. But it's worth it. It's something a bit different. It's unique.
It is, and it really stood out because normally prep is in the name. UK, Pro, Easy, Elite, something that it's normally something like that. So when I first saw it, I was meaning to ask you it from the start because it's such a unique name. Yeah. Absolutely love it. And so now when you were talking about putting out fires earlier, that comment wasn't lost on me now.
Yeah, no, it's and the name, I said it in passing, just messing around. The name was talking about names, and I just said it, and they're like, I like that. And it's got a lot of meaning to us. It's kind of it. That's where the journey started. All three of us working together, and the conversations just stem from there. And then one thing led to another, and before we knew it, here we are. So yeah, we like it, and we didn't really get that much stick. I thought we'd get more than we did, but everyone seemed pretty on board with it. What's good.
Yeah, amazing. No, I absolutely love the name. Very unique. And you know, I think yeah, it sounds absolutely great. And plus I love it when I saw your videos, because you've got like the coolest like background ever, which is obviously, you know, this sort of logo which is done with the neons behind it, which I just absolutely love.
He made it. He's like,
oh, wow.
He's a wizard. He made it himself. So hats off to Karchin. You hear me calling him Chan or Karchin, it won't call him Chan.
There's a business in that. I tell you.
He used to do car spraying, so he wants to spray everything. Honestly, it's like everything. You walk into the prep center, he's trying to spray you. It's like he is really good at what he does, so we'll let him off. But yeah, the signs. Alan helped as well. I wasn't very hands-on with that side of things. I think
you watched.
I think I stood back and went, the zero's not very straight. And that was like my input.
So you offered really helpful comments.
Oh, massive input. Yeah, loads of input in there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whoops. No, they did well on that. But yeah, that was a bit of fun doing the sign. And then
it was great. Absolutely, it's great. No, I love it. So going back to my original question, so thinking about what kind of step that you wanted to take, what made you choose a prep center? Because, and again, I will let you answer in a minute, I promise, is I think, and again, you can probably answer this as well, because I've seen a lot of people say about this. You know, they say, "Oh, set up a prep center. It's easy money." That couldn't be further from the truth. It's really hard work setting up a prep center and running a prep center. For the record, I want to state that. So, did you know that beforehand, or was that a huge reality check?
I knew beforehand. This is going to sound like, you know, a really strange comment, but I knew beforehand from the people that already own prep centers, if that makes sense. So
how much everyone moans about it?
No, just kind of you look at kind of the sort of people they are that own them, like yourselves, the guys at WePrep, you know, Systemize, Fastpack. You look at all of them, and everyone's got their head switched on, and they're like, and you know, it's not an easy route, and you can tell by their mentalities that, you know, it is hard work, and they put work in to get there. So, you know, I knew beforehand that it was going to be hard, and obviously, you know, you're up against all of these massive players that have been doing it for years that are absolutely smashing it, and I'm always one of them people that I love competition. Competition's great, it's healthy, it pushes everyone to be the best kind of version of themselves, if that makes sense. If without competition, you let yourself kind of get a bit stagnant. And like
and perfect, sorry to interrupt, perfect example of why, because Amazon doesn't have any competition, they can do whatever the hell they want.
That's it. Yeah, exactly. And I look at, like, near where I live, it's a really strange way of looking at it, but the only supermarket for years was Asda, and it was atrocious. It was terrible. It massively went downhill, and then before you knew it, Lidl popped up, and you can imagine what happened where they didn't have that competition. They let themselves slip, so they didn't ever keep their standards high, and by doing that, all of a sudden they fell a bit short, because Lidl have opened and kind of pulled all the competition away. So I knew it would be hard work looking at the people that were in the industries, but I saw it as an opportunity to learn a lot from them, if that makes sense. Obviously, naturally, you do your research when you're opening, you know, you look at what they're doing and you go, wow, okay, how can we implement this? How can we do things in our own unique way? And I've always really kind of been in customer service. So my history, I worked in a bank, and then I took wakeboarding, and then I went to Australia and managed restaurants. So I got into the restaurant management side of things, and I loved like offering a service and kind of, you know, helping people, if that makes sense, and providing something. And I think for us, it was a perfect business to do that. But it also gave us a bricks and mortar business as well. So just for like diversification, it's something different. It's hands-on. You're actually offering a physical service. And I'm not the most techie person, so I wouldn't ever be creating the next Bible Pro or anything like that. So and in my mind, the prep center was, you know, we're not shy of hard work, so it just presented a great opportunity to kind of interact with the Amazon community and provide a service the best we can.
Yeah, absolutely. You're fire. You know, three firefighters. At the end of the day, it's going to be pretty obvious. You're not hard. You're not scared of hard work. You like challenges. You know, because you got to be a hard worker to do
Yeah.
that, and you got to have that competitive nature. I'd imagine being a firefighter, you've got to have that want and desire to be the absolute best at what you do, because you're saving people's lives. People's lives are at stake, so you have to compete. You know, to train the hardest, to be the best. I'd imagine that's a really important attribute of being a firefighter.
I think the majority of people in the fire service are driven, pretty driven people. I think you
Yeah.
need that fire, I guess. But
Yeah.
you do, and I think for us, kind of when we kind of sat down and went over it all and looked at kind of our strengths and weaknesses, I think we kind of complemented each other quite well. And one thing I'd say is hats off to anyone that opens a prep center on their own or with two of them, because you know the work involved, it's incredible. It is actually running a prep center, it's incredible. So hats off to anyone who actually takes the leap and does it. It's like you said, it's not easy. It's so rewarding, but it's not easy. You look, like we said, we kind of spread our strengths across the three of us to find a balance, and we've all kind of fed into our own roles within the business. That's working well for us. It's nice.
Do you know, I can really see, I mean, obviously you knew your business partners outside of the Amazon communities anyway as well, so they were friends, but I think this is a really inspiring tale for people who do want to look to maybe start businesses or services or something like that. You know, teamwork does make the dream work. I appreciate I'm coming out with the classics tonight, but it really does at the end of the day. And you know, some people do work very well on their own. It's as simple as that. But having that level of support with business partners, with people that you can work with and people that you can converse with, you can bounce ideas off of. And I think it's really smart what you said about the fact that you went down that route, because it gives you a physical business address as well. And again, physical business addresses, they're not essential for this business, but they do open up a lot more doors. Especially if you want to go down the wholesale route, especially if the way I see a physical business address, and not just address, I mean a location as well, it really does open up a lot of opportunities for you, you know, regardless of being a prep center. You know, if you wanted to create private label products, you know, you have the facility to be able to do it. You can have products shipped in from China. You don't have to worry about that extra additional cost, because
you've got the resources, haven't you? You've got the resources, the space. It's it has been really helpful. Even simply like running my own eBay. I still do my eBay. Having somewhere to run that's not my house. It's incredible.
Yeah, we all get put up with that.
Yeah. I think I think back to when I first was prepping. I had an apartment back then, but luckily we're in a house now. But had an apartment back then, and now I look at the warehouse and I'm like, I can't believe I've actually got space. Like, this is insane. I think back to when I was doing it from home, and I think the worst moment was when I was at work and I got a phone call from my fiance saying to me, Sam, boxes have turned up for you. I ordered from Kite. And I didn't realise how many I'd actually ordered that were going to I lived on like the second floor in the apartments. They dropped a pallet outside the front door of the flats, but obviously the pallet doesn't go through the single door. So I've got my fiance, she's handballing them off into the lift with Theo at the time, who was like kind of a really young. So and then from that to having
and you're still getting married?
I know, she's mad. She's absolutely mad. It went from that to kind of having the house full of boxes. I think it was Q4, out buying chocolates, and like the house or the apartment was just stacked full of chocolates. And I don't know why she's still with me, actually. I really don't.
I'm sure. I'm just joking.
But yeah, I look now kind of, and it's all come from that. It's all come from them experiences and them moments. And it's so nice looking back at kind of the times that you've had and where you've come from looking at the first low dolls to going through the Amazon motions to find your place, if that makes sense. And
absolutely,
in a journey.
So when you decided with your business partners that you wanted to start a prep center, talk us through, because again, something I wanted to touch on tonight, a lot of people in particular, I'm not, differentiating between men and women, but, when we try something new, when we start something new, there's a lot of emotions that are involved. you're scared, you're excited. There's a wealth of different emotions about, you know, the next step that you're going to be taking. Some people can handle it and some people can't. It paralyzes some people that they have so much potential, but they just, you know, fear pushes them to do it. And again, probably not asking the right person with fear, because you're probably scared of nothing, being a firefighter. But talk us through some of those, you know, emotions that you went through when we said, do you know what, right, Blue 30, gonna happen, we're gonna do it. What, you know, what, we know the reason why you wanted to do it, but yeah, just talk us through that sort of level. Was it exciting?
Before I do that, I'll tell you my biggest fear is live videos. Definitely like no. So three of us kind of spent a bit of time going over it, kind of looking, like I said, doing our research and kind of seeing if a prep center would be the right direction to go in, if that makes sense. Like you said, there's so many different factors to take into consideration, isn't there? You've got to look if there's room in the marketplace. You know, the best place to kind of do your market research was Facebook groups. We find ourselves going through the Facebook groups, putting in the search bar like prep centers, and then looking through the comments and seeing kind of the general census on what people have been saying about the prep centers, where there's gaps in the market. It's just a SWOT analysis, isn't it? You carry out a SWOT analysis. So you've got your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. So just to kind of gain that understanding of if there is room for us, and if we can actually fit in that market space, and if we're good enough to fit in that market space, and if we can improve on that. So there's so many questions you ask yourself, and like you said, you have them doubts, don't you? And you have to ask them questions. You have to write them down and go, can I actually do that? And then you run through it between the three of you, and then you go, actually, I'm really good at that. And that's what's worked really well with us. And don't get me wrong, there's been times in the launch of the business or the start of the business where one of us is doing something and it just doesn't work for us. So then the baton, like the relay baton, gets passed over to the other person, and they kind of transition into it, and it works better with them. So then you kind of let it flow that way, if that makes sense. So we've all kind of evolved into our own roles within the company. But in terms of the actual startup, it was looking at what we're passionate about and what we enjoy as well. That's a big thing. You need to enjoy what you do. So for me, I absolutely love like websites. I love kind of the SEO, the marketing, the consultations, speaking to people, the onboarding the customers. So I love that side of things. Whereas Alan has been like the Google Sheets wizard, who's just managed to come up with the sheets that we use, and he's done a great job on that. And he's kind of very much into like the warehouse management side of things. And Carchin's like kind of the IT guy and admin. So he runs all of that. So we've all fell into our roles in the business that keeps it going. But yeah, the actual startup, it was literally just getting it down on paper and checking the viability of it, really. And then we were fortunate enough, we were looking at properties, like everyone does. They start looking at safe stores and them sort of places, and you're paying so much for such small space on some of them places. And then another firefighter manages a business on Canvey, and they were subletting quite a big old section. So we've got like 4,500 square foot. So
wow. So you've got
it's insane, like absolutely insane. Like, and we're really fortunate with that. And in the contract, we've got so much leeway with that. So for instance, we've knocked through a wall and put our own roller shutter in. They were absolutely fine with us doing that, if that makes sense, and then converting the warehouse and getting all the racking in there. So the change has been incredible. It's just felt very natural. I don't know if it's because I work with them anyway, and we kind of know each other and kind of how we work. So it's kind of evolved from there. But it has felt really natural, and it sounds really sad, but I've really enjoyed it, and it's kind of felt really good. So far, there's days where you sit there pulling your hair out going, what have I done? What am I doing? But on a whole, it's been incredible. It's been a good journey so far.
Absolutely. And I think the thing is, and again, to go back to that firefighter thing, because I think sometimes it is, by the way, guys, we're saying that, I'm not saying unless you're a firefighter, you can't open a prep center, obviously, but, working with the three of you together, that firefighter connection, you've got to have each other's backs, you know, every day as part of your role. If you don't have, so teamwork will come very naturally to you, I imagine, as well. All of you.
I think naturally, yeah. We don't. I guess I don't really think about it much, but yeah, I guess it does all fall within that working together and kind of training together. So yeah. So
do you think you would have done it without them?
No. I can safely say I don't have the skills alone to execute. It's such a big task. Like I said, hats off to like the people who have done it kind of on their own and made it work. It's such a huge task, and I don't think I'd have had the confidence or the time to actually do that, because when you break it down, what's actually involved in setting up the business, let alone running of the business, but the setting up. So obviously you've got the marketing, the website, you've got the welcome packs to do, you've got your terms and conditions, you look at all the contracts and everything like that, and then you start looking at the actual prep, the standardized operating procedures, the communication, the constant communication with your clients, you know, ordering your replenishable stock. It's just it's another world, isn't it? So on my own, no, I honestly don't have the strength to do it. And you know, there's days where we carry each other, but together we kind of make a good team with it.
Absolutely. So how do decisions work on a daily basis, working with, you know, 3 partners? Because they do say in life, obviously, 2's company, 3's a crowd. 3 can be sometimes a little bit of an odd number when it comes to making decisions, because presumably if 2 of you agree and 1 of you don't, then is that how it works? Do you have like a majority rules situation? Or
yeah, it is majority rules, but within reason. There will always be compromise where needed, if that makes sense. Like it's kind of finding the piece. But where we tend to all be on the, I say we all tend to be on the same. There will always be times where you're not always on the same page, but from the start we always said that we want, you know, customer focused always, like client focused always, through communication, kind of transparency and accuracy. So we all knew that was kind of our goal. And to achieve that goal, certain steps have to be implemented, don't they? And decisions have to be made. But as long as we pick the right one to get to where we want to be, so we tend to be, if one person's not on the same page, they tend to be not too far off. That's what I found so far in terms of decision making.
Okay. Yeah.
I think the biggest thing is everyone has a different perception of priorities. I think that's where you kind of the biggest discussions come from. So not necessarily what change is going to happen, but in what order the changes and the process is going to be implemented, if that makes sense. And I think that's where a lot of our conversations go to. But again, we just all get together. We're very open and honest with each other. I think, again, that comes back to kind of working together outside of the prep centre. We can be open and honest with each other and say exactly how it is. None of us beat around the bush with hurting each other's feelings, to be honest. There's been some fun phone calls between all of us, but we always seem to take, so far, obviously I know there'll be times when we'll face struggles and there'll be challenges. So far, the decisions that we've made, whether we've all been on the same page or whether 2 out of 3 of us have been on the same page, it always seems that we make the right decisions for the business so far, if that makes sense. So
yeah, absolutely. I find working with people, I'm a bit like you. I crave contact with people. I could not sit in an office on my own every day, which I do, without having some sort of communication with people. And it's part of the reason why part of our business, certainly over the last 12 to 18 months, that we've started working with, you know, people managing their accounts in a, you know, in a client capacity, purely because I really enjoy the client contact. I always have done. Everything I've always done throughout my life, whether it's employed, non-employed, has always had a level of having my own clients. And whether they're my own clients or whether they're my boss's clients or something like that. But I haven't had a boss for about 15 years. Well, apart from that, he likes to think he's the boss. But you know, he so that's why I feel, especially when you run your own business, and this is why, going back to this level of, you learn something, you know, well enough, and you have success with something, it does open up these opportunities to be able to because, you know, like Luke said, there is always going to be an element of selling on Amazon. We've changed the direction, especially since the pandemic. You know, I don't do any type of online arbitrage anymore. It's either unique bundles, private label in America now, just going into Canada as well, which we're really excited about. Yeah, so that's cool. So we are going to be literally, I just need to do, I want to get on as many continents as we can.
Oh, you say that. So here's an interesting one for you. I've got a phone call with my bank in Australia at 10 o'clock tonight. I've actually opened a business out there. And that will be Amazon and eBay through a prep center. I'll be using a prep center, obviously, because I'm not going to be prepping it myself out there. But yeah, so
I'd be really interested and love to have you back on Nevermind the Buy Box to talk about that a bit more.
How it goes.
Australia would be a phenomenal market for our private label product, but it's probably one of the last, because I do see it is probably logistically, geographically, time difference. Yes, it's an English speaking country, obviously, but I do see it as probably for us that will be the last market, because potentially I think it'll be the most difficult to navigate. I could be wrong. You could prove me wrong on that one.
Well, no, definitely keep me in the loop. Definitely keep you in the loop with the journey.
Yeah, please do.
The reason for that is kind of my long-term goals would be to actually move out there with my family. Obviously still be actively involved with the prep center over here. I was open with them from the start that my long-term plans will be to be out in Australia, and kind of we all came to the agreement that, you know, I could still be within the prep center and have a role remotely. So that would be like a 5-year plan realistically. But to make that happen,
100% the same for us with America.
Is it really?
It is a goal. Yeah, absolutely. It's a goal brilliant. At some point to either live there. I think when I did the Nevermind the Buy Box talking about America, that I talked about that. It's either to possibly live there at some point in the future, or spend a lot of time there. I don't think we'd ever make the permanent move. I think it would just be spending 3 months there a year or something like that. Would you have a
property? Would you look at a property out there then? Have like
if it would be like 3 months, then we would probably just rent for a period, because I don't see the point of owning a property if you're only out there for 3 months. But you know, kids are still young and things like that. But we sort of said, if we build it up now, if we do it now, and again, this is another opportunity, you know, selling across the different global marketplaces as well. Because I'll tell you what is really cool is, you know, when you start selling across different time zones, you actually get to the point where probably only adding Australia would add it even more, because there's still probably a little period of time that we do miss out. But you get into a period of time where you have sales coming in over a 24-hour period. Whereas if you just sell in the UK, Amazon's known for, there's not a lot of nighttime sales. There is nighttime sales, but you know, when we had our distribution company, people used to order stuff at weird times, you know, like 3:34 in the morning. And you think, what are you doing at that time to be ordering? What's in your mind to be ordering something at 3:30 in the morning? But with Amazon, you don't get a lot of overnight sales unless it's crazy in Q4. But when you sell in America, you wake up to like $2,000 worth of sales, and you're like,
that's it. You're literally maximizing the peak times, aren't you? It's incredible. It's incredible. You've got the opportunity to do that as well. I mean, before Amazon, who would have thought there would be a business where you can literally sell products all around the world and make money 24 hours a day?
Absolutely.
But so it's an interesting one. It will be a really interesting journey, and I'll definitely give you an update on it, because at the moment eBay is still bigger out in Australia than Amazon. So Amazon's not struggling, but it's not growing as fast, I think, because eBay's still so powerful out there. I've been doing like a bit of market research into like the products, a bit of sourcing out there, and I look at the sales data on eBay compared to Amazon. I'm like, I think I'm doing a bit more on eBay at the moment. but it'll be an interesting journey, and like I said, that's all part of the bigger plan of moving out there. I don't have any skills in any industries that they need, so it wouldn't be an easy move, and the most viable option for me was down the business route. And obviously, again, we say about the opportunities Amazon presents, it could be the thing that gets me out to Australia.
Wouldn't that be interesting? Wouldn't that be crazy?
To think, it started off like, you know, buying a few products in Home Bargain or Argos to
those flash mobs.
And the flash mobs from B&M, what a dream. If only
The
they
flash
stayed
mobs,
good. If only they stayed good forever.
I know. The flash mobs will be responsible for your emigration to Australia. But
They will play their part, yeah.
I will ask you this actually, because it might have changed over the years, because we've got a family member in Australia, and so we knew a little bit about this. But whether it's changed, I don't know. I thought you had to be an Australian resident in order to have a business in Australia, or
No.
do the marketplaces?
No, so
Get
I've actually,
around
yeah,
that?
so obviously I'm not running it under my UK business, set up as an Australian company. I paid a stupid amount of money to have an agency set it up for me,
Right.
because you have to have an Australian director as part of your company.
Right.
So you have
Okay.
an acting agent. So I own the company, 100% of the company. It's a limited company out there. But I have a director. I think it's the accountants in place who act as a director for me.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I knew that there was some sort of rule.
There's a stipulation there. Yeah, you can't be an overseas or a non-Australian resident and own and direct a company 100%.
Yeah.
But there's ways around it. There's ways around everything. It's not a way around it. It's a genuine way of doing it. And just go down that route, really. Obviously, I don't know how you found it with America, but it's kind of learn the taxation rules and stuff again, isn't it? It's just a minefield. I think America's even harder, isn't it? Because depending on what states you send it, is it?
Well, no, VAT registered. So at the end of the day, we don't pay any VAT there. So it's all the sales we pay, and it's done through UK accounting here. So yeah, so actually it's a lot simpler than people think it is. So
I'll be asking you about that soon as well then.
it is, yeah, it's a lot simpler than people think it is. But everyone I talked about it as well. So we actually did pay sales tax when we shouldn't have been paying sales tax, for the first 4 months. So Amazon owes us some money, which I'm trying to get. Yeah, I'm trying to get back at the moment. So
that's not pulling teeth, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's like I felt I got massive FOMO when everyone was getting like their VAT rebates back in it, but we've always been VAT registered, so we were never in that position. We've VAT registered, before we even started selling on Amazon. So, we just went straight in that respect. So everyone was getting like their, 12 grand back and everything. I was like, damn. I mean, I know it's money going, paid out, and I was like, damn, and then I was like, oh, really moaning about it. And then I thought, oh my God, and I can't believe, I made that mistake. But at the end of the day, it was a new marketplace. It was, I'm not making excuses, but it was something that it's only really when that information came out about the VAT, I was suddenly thinking, hang on a sec. Did I do that?
One of the things is one of the,
well, I say me. I didn't set it up. That's all I'm going to say. If you're watching.
But it's one of them things, isn't it? You're forever learning on Amazon. Sometimes it's through good things, sometimes it's through mistakes. But you're always learning. You're always gaining new experience with it, and you go over the hurdles, don't you? You sort of kick yourself sometimes, like you said about the VAT. But it's learning. You don't make that same mistake again, and you benefit from it in the future. So.
Oh, absolutely. And I every opportunity I get now, if someone mentions about selling in the US, first thing I say to them, make sure you submit your VAT, certificate, and make sure you apply for VAT exemption out there, because you don't need to pay it because you pay it here. I mean, it does obviously, guys, depend on your company setup and all of these different types of, scenarios and things like that. But, be aware. That's what I always say to people. Try things. I mean, it looks like we'll be getting the money back at the end of the day, but if not, it's a lesson learned. It's as simple as that. And like I was saying, it's it has cost us, but I won't do it again.
And there'll be more to be made than what you've lost in the tax anyway over the long term. So it's nothing that can't be back.
But excited about going into the Canadian market, definitely, because I don't know many people that do sell in the Canadian market. And the thing is, the first challenge we came across, obviously, is, this is going to sound so obvious when you say it, but we have a US prep center. So we sent the stuff, and we sent the order over to send them into Canada, everything. But of course, it's a different country, so there has to be different. I think Canada and America do have a free trade agreement. But still, it has to cross a border. So there's extra things that need to be done. It's not as easy as you're in America, send it there. And they don't, it has to go to a fulfillment center in Canada. You know, part of me didn't even think about it. Part of me thought, well, maybe they'll just fulfill it from the US, but they can't. It's too big. So it's all these things that you learn as you do it, and that's why different people listen to, you know, absorb as much information as you can, try different things, draw on people's different experiences, because everybody experiences different things. I mean, there's not a lot left now on Amazon. Probably now that we've done the private label, now that we've done, you know, sold in the US and in Canada, or going to be going into Canada, we have experienced most areas, but still, I think we still have scratched the surface. Even if you sell private label, okay, we're selling private label in the area that we're selling it in. Well, that's going to be completely different to a different category, you know. So experience different things, see what works for you, see what hasn't worked with you. Part of me is thinking, okay, I wish I'd started private label 6 years ago. But like you, a bit of a I'm not going to say fortuitous situation, in the sense that, and again, exactly why we're here and talking about it tonight, this opportunity came to me through a recommendation, through somebody who knew that we sold on Amazon, that we had a level of experience of selling on Amazon. I would not have developed this additional income stream if it wasn't for my experience on selling on Amazon. It's as simple as that. You know, not a random guy's not going to come up to me and go, oh, do you fancy selling these products on Amazon? It came to me via referral, which was, you know, reputation at the end of the day. So again, that's another route you can go down, joint ventures with people that own physical products.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've been approached by a friend who have their own brand. They had products manufactured, they design and manufacture products, and currently looking at that as well, how I can get that onto the Amazon marketplace for them. But yeah, the opportunities that present themselves, and it's just being open-minded about it. My biggest advice would be, don't do what I did with the health and personal care. Don't get that tunnel vision, don't get sucked in. Take that time to take a step back from it and look at it from an outside perspective at what needs to be changed, or not what needs to be changed. In my situation, it needs to be changed, but what can be changed, or what directions are there to be taken, or what opportunities are there. So for us, it was a prep center, but like Natalie said, there's absolutely dozens of different income streams that can be generated off the back of Amazon. And again, like you mentioned as well, don't feel like you have to do it on your own. There's always, you know, I'm sure you could think of multiple people who you could work with. You know, the business, you only own a percentage of the business, but I'd rather own a percentage of a business that I'm working with great people, building something worth something, rather than trying to tackle a massive hurdle on my own, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. I know Matt Webley talks about that a lot. You know, joint ventures changed his life in the sense that he'd always been someone that worked on his own, never thought he would ever take on a business partner, started selling Amazon arbitrage after, you know, doing private label, which wasn't for him, moved into online arbitrage, and then, you know, met Karen, was still selling, built BuyBook Pro, and the rest is kind of history at the end of the day. Fell in love with software development, which Matt will openly say he never expected to. Found the perfect partner in Karen, business partner in Karen. And like I said, you know, they just, you know, dominate in this space within the arbitrage world on Amazon. So, and again, guess what, guys? That came from selling on Amazon. And, you know, sometimes people get stick for, you know, I know a lot of the big business owners that provide services, because it does come to a point where you have to look at it and you have to say, right, I can't do it all. I can't do it all. And, you know, if I'm going to, there's a real great opportunity here. And if I don't give it my all, if I don't give it laser focus, if I do it half-heartedly, then it's not going to reach its true potential. So, you know, the whole of this episode tonight really is about exploring those opportunities, having confidence in yourself to be able to do it. Because I'll tell you what, there is, and I owe a lot of doing this in particular, this you said about live videos. I was scared of live videos.
I think I remember you saying that before, actually.
Yeah, I was absolutely petrified of. I've always been a really confident person. But when people are live asking you questions, I think you can always judge someone with what they know and what they don't know, kind of in a live scenario, obviously. And I was just I kept putting it off, and I always say the wrong thing, in the sense that I say the wrong word, or I pronounce it wrong, or I call someone the wrong name, or something like that. But I just decided just to own it at the end of the day. And that's all actually thanks to Karen Hudson. She gave me some advice that I've never forgotten. And if it wasn't for that advice, I would never have done Never Mind the Buy Box, and I would never do this. I didn't want to be on camera, self-confident about the way you look and everything like that. And I just didn't want to do it. And she was like, just do it, just go for it. So that's me kind of passing on the baton and saying to people, never let people's judgment or what people say stop you from achieving, what your potential is. Because there's lots of opportunities, and a lot of it comes from, stems from selling on Amazon. And give it a try, see what works for you. What Sam says, if you don't want to do it on your own, build a network, start talking to people, and, see if there's someone else that maybe wants to do the same thing. But you don't need to open a prep center. You don't need to do a deal sheet. There's lots of different opportunities. And what Sam said with regards to checking kind of gaps in the market, I will always say, Sam would probably kill me for saying this, but I always think there is a gap in the market for a good prep center, because you do get good ones and you do get bad ones. It's like everything in life. So I think there will always be room for good, well-run prep centers in this space. But if you don't want to run a prep center, don't start a prep center.
It's really hard work. Nice.
if you value your sanity, but there might be something else that might be for you.
Exactly.
It's give it a go, guys, and don't care what anyone else says, because there's a lot of naysayers out there, and there's a lot of people that just because they don't have again, this might sound like I'm being horrible, I'm not. If they don't have the ability, if they don't have the know-how, if they don't have the courage to do it themselves, then they find it easy to pick apart other people that do. So I've been very fortunate in this space, in the sense that I've always had nothing but support. So I really appreciate that. And I think it comes down from not just the Secret Wealth Project, but a number of great communities that have built up in this space.
Yeah, and I can vouch for that as well. Like, obviously, it is quite an awkward thing, isn't it? You're in a community with great people who are using services, really good services, and then you take that leap and launch your own service. So, for instance, like to have Natalie have me on here when Natalie has a prep center, and the guys at Fastpack, that's who I was with previously, to get supportive messages from them as well. Don't hold yourself back over kind of what other people might think, because the right people will still support you. At the end of the day, like I said, competition's healthy. Some people might feel threatened by it, but the way I see it is it gives them an opportunity to kind of reanalyze or reassess what they're doing and make sure that they're tip top and on top of what they need to be doing to be the best they can be.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. And by the way, just for the record, actually, we don't actually have a prep center anymore. So we took a partner on. No, we don't. So we took a partner on.
Congratulations.
So we have a very small interest. Matt checks in, but we don't work at the prep center anymore.
That's fair enough. But again, I look at Google because I do the SEO side of it. So like, I'm trying desperately to climb the Google ranks. Like, what it's like when you're just like clawing your way up there through keywording and hours on the laptop. I look at the top space, and obviously you've got the big players, that you've got yourselves up there, you've got Where You Prep, Systemize, and I'm just like, right, okay, that's great. And that's what I love about it. Like, I think all of you guys are brilliant, and you know, we take a bit of everything what you all do.
Yeah, and by the way,
everyone
that wasn't me saying we have you guys on here because I don't have, you know, we don't every day run a prep center anymore. I think it's really important for people to you know about good services regardless. And I completely agree. Healthy competition. When people do naughty things, obviously that's, you know, that's a different story. But healthy competition is good, and you know that's what you need in life for sure. Andrew's joined us. I know you joined us earlier, Andrew, so I hope you're well. But he says eBay is well established out there in terms of Australia, and has a few clients out there. So it'd be interesting definitely to see how that progresses for sure.
Definitely. Yeah, it'll be really interesting. Like I said, the eBay side of it, I'm really excited about it, to be honest. It will definitely be an adventure. I like a challenge. Like I said, it's finding a balance, isn't it? At the end of the day, it's finding a really nice balance. We've been really conscious with the prep center to build a system and a structure. So it runs itself, so it runs really well, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah. If you find that secret,
hey, if that would be great. If it can all just prep itself and get itself out the doors, that would be so. No,
yeah.
but just we've been really conscious with that and putting the SOPs in place and the procedures to make sure that it does run efficiently. Like you said, it's exactly the same as Amazon. You can either run it yourself and, you know, run around prepping boxes, or you can implement this safe structure that minimizes mistakes, has all the quality assurances and quality checks in place, and runs efficiently. And that's all you can ask for, really, isn't it? And if you do that, you'll have you're like the queen of systemizing, aren't you? The fact that you can run so many businesses, you have the systems in place to run it, and it's important to get them set up, isn't it, nice and early on.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm somebody in life that, like you, I have a very supportive husband. You know, we work very well together. Sometimes we don't, but most of the time we are able to run a business together. And Matt, I can't take credit for the processes and systemization. That is really down to Matt. You know, he's that yin to my yang. He compliments me very much in that area. Whereas, like yourself, you know, I wouldn't be able to do this without him. He's my go-to guy. You know,
we don't tell him that though very often, do we?
No. I hope he's not listening.
Oh no! Quick, end it.
yeah, quick. Cut broadcast, quick. But no, he does, and you know, it's something I couldn't do without him. It's as simple as that. So he's phenomenally supportive, and you know, when we first met, I met him when I was 16. So and so when we first met, we had that very common interest of, you know, wanting to run our own businesses and do this in life. So that's always been what fueled us over the years. But you don't necessarily have to be married to your business partner, obviously. And sometimes I wouldn't recommend it. So, you know, if
there's no chance I'd marry Alan or Cartron, not a chance.
Sorry,
guys.
That's a shame. That's a shame. But look, we've come to 8:30 already. The time has absolutely flown. I know you were worried about it. Have you enjoyed it?
I loved it. No, I've really enjoyed it. Thank you, Natalie. It's been really nice having a catch up.
Yeah, do you know what? It's been great. And again, another reason, guys, to push yourself out of your comfort zone. You know, when I asked you, you were very much like, oh, you know, but it is important, especially when you are running your own business in whatever capacity, not to stay within that comfort zone. You know, you don't have to push yourself out constantly, but every now and again, it's, you know, that level of uncomfortableness, if that's a word. I really do believe that, you know, when I get that feeling in my stomach, or, you know, do I want to do this? That I feel I've actually learned to recognize that as quite a good thing. It's like, you know, if I'm uncomfortable, it means that something's going to come of this.
You're growing. If you're uncomfortable, you're growing. You're pushing yourself, aren't you? Otherwise, if you're never pushing yourself, you're never going to grow, are you? And the only way to grow is to feel that uncomfort, isn't it? At the end of the day.
Yeah. Absolutely. So I think we will call it again. I was going to, you know, I wasn't planning on taking it past 8 o'clock, because I know you've got a new little baby, and obviously I want to be respectful of your time, but the conversation was just flowing. So and I'm sure everyone's enjoyed it. Thank you everyone for tuning in. There's been lots of gold nuggets, really good advice from Sam tonight. So we really do appreciate it. Next week, guys, I'm going to throw a curveball at you. Talking of comfort. So we are going to have do you know what? I've got the busiest week of my life next week. And I'm really, when someone says to me, I've talked about this a lot. I sort of like said, if someone says to me, oh, I'm really busy, I can't do that. By the way, I don't say this to people. I do actually say it to people, but not in the way I'm going to say it now. I'm a lot more diplomatic. Someone says, oh, I'm really, really busy, I'm this, and I can't do that. I want to say you need to manage your time better, essentially. But I literally do have the busiest week of my life next week. And, Luke's covering me on on Elite Sellers, because we have 5 family birthdays next week.
Wow.
Monday to Friday, including Max's 11th birthday. We've got birthday parties. I've got a 60th. I've got a Christmas party. All good things. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to make out that it's all horrible things. It's all good things, but it's incredibly full on. So I do have a birthday that we need to attend on Tuesday evening, which is a very close family member, so I can't get out of it. Don't worry, none of them will be watching, so it's fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to throw a curveball at you guys, and we are going to do Never Mind the Buy Box next week, but we're going to do it on Tuesday, and we're going to do it at lunchtime.
Oh, nice.
So, because I know a lot of people can't attend the evening, and I'm not saying it's going to be a regular thing, and Matt Webley and I were talking about it a little while ago, and we were talking, it'd be interesting to test if a live, you get different people, if it's not that we don't love our regular audience, of course. We're not saying that, but it'd be quite a good opportunity to test, whether or not people do like sort of a live slot. I'm not saying that the Tuesday at 7 p.m. is going to change, but obviously if there's any live information in the future, we've always been hesitant to do something during the day because we think everyone's available, but lots of people work at night, lots of people have nightly commitments and things like that. And I thought, if I'm going to try it, that's a good opportunity to do it. And I thought, well, I do it at lunchtime, probably 1 o'clock, something like that, because if you are at work, then you might have the opportunity to watch while you're on your lunch break. I don't know.
Yeah, that's good. That should be good.
I've really over-explained that. But yeah, so next week, guys, for everyone that watches on a regular basis, or if you are watching on the replay, I will double check and I will confirm the time, but looking to do it next week at 1 o'clock. And I'm going to be joined by Luke Dugan next week. We're going to be catching up with him. So on his Q4 journey, which is going phenomenally well. So we just want to, do a bit of a catch up with him just to see where he's at. So he's going to love it because he's in Lithuania. He's 2 hours ahead. So whenever he does stuff at 7 o'clock, he's like half asleep at the end of it. So I think he's going to enjoy doing it with the day slot anyway as well. So that's what's happening next week. Like I said, Sam, thank you so much for your time. It is really, really appreciated. Just before we go, quick shout out. Where can people find you? If someone wants to get in contact with you and be part of the Blue 30 team, if they're interested in prep services, how can people get hold of you?
Yeah, so just our website, blue30.co.uk, or our Facebook page, really, Blue 30 again. So,
well, like I said, because it's a unique name, it's like not a chance of accidentally falling on someone else.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah, it doesn't help with Google. Like I said, it doesn't help with Google. If I put Prep Center at the end, it would have been great. So
yeah, absolutely. That would really be like, what? Okay.
Kind of work, but never mind. No, thank you though. Yeah, so it's just the website or the Facebook page, and again, just book a free consultation with us and work out whether have a chat and see if it's for you, really.
Yeah, absolutely. Simona says, thanks both for a lovely chat. Appreciate it. Nice to see you, Simona, as well. So join us next week, lunchtime, just to throw the curveball in there. I will confirm it in the group. Keep asking questions in the group. I could definitely see there's a bit more of that Q4 buzz coming. And hopefully by the time we talk again next week, it would have ratcheted up another level as well. So that's what we're talking. Big gains now, guys. Things should start happening a lot quicker. So yeah.
Hold your prices.
Put the prices up.
Yeah, that's it. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, not pricing. Yeah, not price fixing or anything like that. I didn't mean it like that. But as in, it's coming. So make sure you respond, I suppose, accurately. Which is, yeah, I know what I meant.
Yeah. No, thank you for having me on there, Natalie, and thank you everyone for the comments as well. Really appreciate it. It's been brilliant.
Lovely. Right. Take care, everyone. Have a great week. We'll see you next week. Speak soon. Bye.
Thank you, guys.